What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Big Nerd Gaming Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Westen, and welcome to episode 1 of a podcast that will surely capture the imagination of a nation. And who else could I have on the first episode but a very good friend of mine, Andres. If you're on gaming social media, you might know him as AndresPlays. He's a podcaster, writer, YouTuber. Dude does it all. He's a workhorse. He's incredible. How's it going, Andres?
It's going good. I am very deeply honored to be the first person, you're the first guest to be on your podcast. I know that this is something that you had been thinking of, planning, working towards for quite a while now. So the fact that we're here today, making it happen, is fantastic.
Dude, thank you so much. And I mean, there was no one else I could have on more. I obviously we're friends, so that's part of it. But, when I was starting my blogging journey, you were someone that kind of lifted me up and exposed me to people, and I always appreciated that. So to repay the favor, I'm having you on my much smaller platform. So you can let it rip, You can just say whatever you want. You're known as like a nice guy, more positive overall. Like you're not going to totally destroy something, but today you can do whatever you want.
It's the intention that counts in the end. And I definitely do have a couple of things that I had been, thinking about, some little disagreements that I've had on social media that I wouldn't mind airing out here. So we'll see what's going to happen.
Yes, let's go. We get spicy, Andres, today. So, first episode. So the format of the show, like I said in my episode 0, if you haven't listened to that, once a month, like 60 to 90 minutes. This isn't going to be anything too crazy. The general goal, just me and my guests kind of maybe briefly talk about what we're playing. Then we get into the good stuff. We get into the list, all right? Then we get into ranking stuff. Your favorite, Andres. So you may or may not have been forced into ranking these. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So Andres, what are you playing right now? What do you want to talk about?
All right. Yes, I have to say that I did have a little issue with the rankings, but we'll talk about that in a moment. As you said, right now, I'm very excited. I will always make time, to talk about video games with a friend, especially because today I literally just got 2 reviews out the door. One is a VR game, which is, niche, so I won't talk about that, but I will talk about Quartet, which is a game that I believe that you have been playing as well. I just got the review out the door today. Hopefully I will be able to talk with the developers sometime down the line.
Nice.
About their inspirations. It's incredible, man. I've really loved, on social media, for the ones who don't know me, on Blue Sky now, I've gained a little bit of a following, as I've always have been pushing for, more indie games to be noticed. The problem with that is that I think some people just relate me to sort of artistic indies, right? Like Herdling, which I will talk about as well in a moment, or Harold Halibut, or Journey, or Sword of the Sea, right? But I reviewed Quartet today, and it got a lot of traction, and I'm quite inspired by that because I love games that have depth, that have JRPG mechanics. That that make you really struggle to get to the point, right? And Quartet is one of those games. You've been playing it as well. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I didn't realize you'd already beaten it. If you've played Octopath Traveler, clear influences there. You play as there's 4 separate characters, separate stories. Then I believe the stories kind of come together from there. Which, so early on, I'll say I'm in the middle of my 3rd story, so I'm somewhat early in. The first chapter I played, you play as like a cook, and it's so weird and funny, and it's different, right? But then like the story gets pretty deep, it gets pretty intense, and there's a lot better world building, I think, than Octopath Traveler. Like Octopath Traveler 2 tried to like combine all the stories a little better. I don't think they did an amazing job at that. They had some good individual stories. I think Quartet is like building a world in a way that I find compelling. The 3rd chapter I am on is the shopkeeper. And that has been like kind of slowing me down a little bit because I feel like that one is a bit more standard, at least early on. And it hasn't quite drawn me in as much. The battle system's okay. It's better than it's not super, the most basic of battle systems. There's some stuff going on. You can recover your AP, for magic by attacking. There's some strategy there, but I'm not like in love with the battle system. I think it's fine. So I've slowed down a little. I was like really in love with the first few chapters. I think as maybe as this chapter goes along, I'll get more into it. But
Hmm.
I like it so far. But I have slowed down a little bit on it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned the cook because that was also my first story, and it was very interesting
Yes.
how they portrayed, his nonchalance. He like the cook is this character that finds out that he can use magic, and in this world, magic is sort of political, so that opens up this whole set of issues for him that take him on his kind of really crazy path that sets up the world building, sets up the lore, and it sets it in a way that is quite quirky and funny as well. So I think that
Yes.
what the game does best, of course, the music, classic JRPG style, the art, the pixel 16-bit pixel art style is also great. But I think the story, poking fun at the tropes of the genre as well, is something that really makes it stand out, over other games in the genre.
Yeah, the soundtrack's pretty good too. Like that is a good soundtrack. Like it's not like the highest of JRPGs, but for what this game is,
Yeah, yeah.
which is what I think a $20 game, it's better than I expected. It's very solid. So yeah, I'm excited to play more. It's my main Steam Deck game right now, so I will be getting
Hell
through
yeah.
it. Just, another game came out recently that we'll probably talk about in a sec, and yeah. What platform is your review on as well?
Steam, Pixelbyte. It's the one that I've been writing for because you refuse to hire me, so I'm
Hey,
joking.
I'm stingy. It's all good. I mean, it's just tough to tell
You're
your
good.
daughters. Like, I mean, I can't buy you a new toy because I hired Andres for my blog that makes no money and
Oh my God,
probably
that
cost me money on the
yeah.
whole. So
You know what? Now I feel bad. I take that back. But what are
leave
you
it in it.
playing though? What are you playing?
I mean, the main game since yesterday I've been playing is we're recording this on Friday, September 5th.
Hmm.
I am playing Silksong right now, like many people. Um, it's pretty good. Like the core gameplays,
Yeah.
it was shocker. It seems to be pretty well made. I don't know how these kids did
Hmm.
it, but it's it's what you'd expect. Like it has some of the stuff from the first game that annoys me a little bit. Some of the walks, like I'm in the middle of a section right now. It's like a somewhat tough platforming thing that I think is made to get you used to the new pogo mechanic, which is diagonal,
Hmm.
which is very odd. Like it is super odd at first. Like it just does not feel natural. It's very unintuitive.
Hmm.
That section though, as you keep practicing it gets you a lot better at it. And I'm that's the good news is I'm starting to get better at it. But after that long platforming section, then it gets into like a pretty big fight. And if you lose that, it sucks. And you lose your rosary beads that do a lot of things for you when you die. So I'm kind of stuck like continuing to work at this until I beat it. So there's just little things that annoy me. Like I hate like your special skill is attached to the same resource that heals you, but there's no like health bars or anything. At least not on most of the foes. So I don't know how much damage my special attack is doing. So I'm just like,
Oh yeah.
is it worth it to use it? I mean, there could be a strategy there. I feel like should I use this powerful attack or should I heal? But it's tough for me to formulate that strategy because I don't know what my special attack is doing.
Yeah.
I always get annoyed at these games where it's like if the enemy touches you, you're hurt because like with some of these big enemies, if you're in the middle of it, all of a sudden you're just dead because you get hit, multiple times in a row. And said there's just a lack of rest points that is annoying. But like the level design and the enemy design is so cool. I feel like there's just a lot of interesting attack patterns. The game's relentless in some good ways. As I get used to the pogo mechanic, the changes, it's I love 2D platforming. That's one of my favorite things. I'm starting to enjoy that more. Obviously, the art, the music. There's just a mystique to the game.
Hmm.
Like it's just, and I think part of that's the lack of marketing. But
Yeah.
it's got a vibe. It's got an interesting vibe. I'm enjoying it. I hate it, but I kind of can't stop playing it. I think I said on Blue Sky,
Yeah.
it's as intoxicating as it is grating.
Mm.
I think. I mean, I think I'm in it for the long haul. I didn't beat the first game. I feel like I'm in it for the long haul this time, but we'll see. But
Yeah.
That sums it up for me.
There is something interesting that you said, when in Hollow Knight it happens, I suppose that it also happens in Silksong. In Silksong, when they damage you, it's quite disorienting, right? Because there's like a sound effect, and then the screen darkens a little bit. So like you feel punished, right? Like when you get hit. So it's kind of crazy to see that it has gotten to this status of that you cannot really criticize it, because they're gonna they're gonna, like, the fans are gonna find you and like harass you or something. So
I'm not afraid, you know that. I'll take the heat.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good game. As I said, I mean, obviously, there's some people that love that. I like difficulty. I don't like long walks to the difficulty. Like, my favorite difficulty is I want to jump back into it. I don't want to have to do another 5-minute thing to get to the thing that's got me stuck.
Definitely.
And that's the fight I'm in right now. It's a disorienting fight because you're fighting multiple enemies at once. Plus, you have an ally helping you, which is nice, but also just fucks the screen. Like, there's just a lot going on. It's really tough to know what the hell's going on. So,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm into it. I'm definitely into it, but man, it annoys me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I totally get it. I'm still gonna be struggling with Hollow Knight for the time being. I don't have any need to play Silksong yet. I really want to savor it, because it's. I remember when I first picked it up, I got lost, and then I dropped it, and then I came back and made some more progress. I think that's like a rite of passage with these games. So yeah, I'll probably come back to it.
And there's another thing that annoys me is the Metroidvania map. I mean, I just feel like it's so weird the way the game handles the Metroidvania map, as like you have to upgrade it, and every time you get to a section, you got to buy the map to unlock it.
Yeah.
It feels like playing an RPG, and it's like you unlock the equipment screen after 8 hours. It's like, why? This is one of the most fun parts. Like, if you play Metroidvania, you like the map.
Yeah.
Why are you making it so hard to get the map? I don't, and it's not like the map is that awesome in and of itself. Like, it's not some like super unique, cool map that's just like really well made. Like, it's a pretty basic map. So it's not like, oh, it's so rewarding to unlock it, though. It's just like, oh, thank God I have this map. It's still not the best map in the world. So, yeah, sorry, you got me on another thing that annoys me.
All right. The last game that I will mention that I'm playing right now, before you keep on listing your negatives, is Lost Soul Aside, which I was very surprised because I did not see the Open Critic scores. The score is 62, I think, or 63, which is very low. I actually quite liked it. I knew what I was getting into. It was very well documented that this game was made initially by one developer, and then the studio slowly grew with Sony's investment to 15, then to 30 people, I believe. And you can see it, right? The core combat is good, and there are some really nice landscapes, but something that kind of surprised me is that in the beginning there's like there's just too many boss fights. It's like a boss rush kind of thing, kind of like Wukong last year.
Wukong.
Yeah. And then I got on an argument because I was praising it, and somebody mentioned to me like, you as a gaming journalist should know better. You should compare it to the gold standard, which in this case is Devil May Cry, right? But I was like, I mean, no, in this sort of cases, which I already know who the developer, like, not who he is, but like the story behind the game, I take it with a grain of salt. I think that's where I come from. That's where, I mean, Carl Halibut, the first game that I gave a 10, it also had like a 76 on Open Critics. So if I love something, I will just passionately say it. And if I think, like, I mean, if I had to review Lost Soul Aside, I would definitely say that it's like a 6.5, maybe 7. Like, but I'm enjoying it, right? I'm enjoying the combat. It's very snappy. It's very flashy, and it does feel like a mixture between Final Fantasy 15 and 16, ironically.
So a good game and a bad game.
I mean, yeah, like it's. Yeah, like the story is just there to keep things rolling, like it feels like they really didn't put too much effort in it, and that's why I don't really take that into account. I take into account, the dodging, the perfect dodging, and learning the movesets. And we've talked about combat extensively before, you and I, and that's something that if everything else fails, as long as that is, meaty and impactful, I can forgive most of the other things.
Combat definitely looks good when I watch it. Like, I've seen some clips of like cutscenes, and they look pretty cringe. I think there's one where someone's like falling, and it's just like, it's so bad. I almost want to play it for my nerdy award so that I can give it the worst voice acting award. But I we'll see. We'll see if I have time. There's a lot of games to play. But yeah, I mean the combat looks fine. If you're enjoying it, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I feel like obviously whoever clicks on this and knows that like you are a big fan of rankings, right? You rank everything, and I think that as we get closer to the end of the year, you get more powerful. Like I feel like, you have this board and you're looking at all of these games and lists, like cracking the code or something, which I'm excited to see. Like last year, I thought I was a little bit annoyed, I'll be honest, but now I'm fully on board with what you're doing. So yeah, I'm excited to see what's in store.
It's the beauty. If someone hates something about you, but you're just like, that's truly what you are, I think eventually they're forced to respect it, right? Like, you don't like rankings, but I'm just so devoted to it. What can you say? All you can say, God damn, that guy loves rankings. What can I say? So, yes, in my so that the Nerdies is my more joke awards. My Big Nerd Gaming Awards does have a best combat actor category, top 10. So keep an eye on bignerdgaming.com for that, and also maybe keep an eye out for AndresPlays top 10 games of the year on bignerdgaming.com. It has been known to pop in there before.
Once a year, I'll make an appearance there. It's all good.
So you talking about Lost Soul Side is appropriate for the topic of the show today, because the topic of the show today is our biggest disagreements with critics this year, right? So you are on OpenCritic, which is the site we're kind of using to judge this, like compare our scores to the main critic scores. So we're both people that I think respect the work that gaming critics do. I always say, like, compared to anything else, like, if you look at what a game critic's, like, the consensus score is, really tends to line up pretty well. Like, I mean, with what most people think. Like, movies, music, they can be all over the place, I feel like. Gaming, for whatever reason, everyone seems to be more on the same page with gaming than most mediums, in my opinion. But there's still always going to be those ones where you're like, nah, they got it wrong, or I just disagree. My taste more aligns with this game than the critics give it credit for. So what we're going to do is we're going to give 3 each. So 3 positive and 3 negative. So 3 games that we are more positive on than critics, and 3 games that we are more negative on than critics. We're going to do positive first, so that if people want to see the hate, they have to sit through the show. No skipping ahead. That's cheating. Don't do it. Don't do it. So we'll start 3 through 1. Andres, do you want to do your number 3 to start?
3 to 1. Just to complement what you're saying, I found that I was more in line with what critics say more often than not, because I give a score and then I had to compare it to the OpenCritic score, and then, for example, Atomfall, that game I gave a 75, and the score on OpenCritic is literally a 75, right? Promise Mascot Agency an 8.2. So it was kind of tough for me because I was more in line with what most critics say than I thought that I was. I thought it was more of a lone wolf, but turns out I'm not. So whatever.
You're just a conformist. This year I'm more off from the critics than usual on the couple. I mean, overall, I'm close on most things, but this year I have a couple I'm like way more off than usual. So that's just kind of how things go sometimes.
I'm excited to hear about them because it's a surprise for me now, by the way. So anyway, we'll start with the positives.
You did send me yours, but I forgot to paste it, and I think I've forgotten. So might be a surprise for me too, which is fun.
Yeah. So number 3, which is a great game. Of course, is the positives. Luto, or Ludo. I don't know if you want to say it like with an English accent. Ludo is a horror game from Spain. I gave it a 9, and the consensus is an 8, which is, not that bad, in the grand scheme of things. But I don't know. I was quite enthralled by it because it feels like PT, that iconic Hideo Kojima demo, right? That was going to be like Silent Hill until they had the fallout with Konami. So PT, Visage, all of these classic first person, like kind of corridor games. The game has like a narrator that's, over time becomes very sinister, and it has these twists. I think something that I really loved is that it's the jump scares are a very slow burn. You don't always expect it, and it doesn't always happen. That, like, so it keeps you on edge the whole time. And I remember I was playing it on a stream, right, as you said, because I stream as well. And I hadn't played it beforehand, so I was so worried that, like, okay, it's been half an hour and I'm solving these puzzles and I haven't been scared. So, the more time passed, the more tense I was as well. So I don't know, I really liked it. But yeah, it got an 8. I don't know why.
I'll say 1 point, like a one full point in a gaming critic sense, is a lot, right? Like most scales are 7 is good, 8 is like great, right? So that's a big difference, right? So it does mean something.
That's true.
I do like to call out on the jump scares because I was thinking about Alan Wake 2, which has a lot of jump scares, and it's a great game. But
Yeah.
the jump scares are so constant in that game with the screen flashes that, like, you kind of get hardened on them a little bit by the end. I don't think any really caught me off guard too much once I got to the back half of the game. So having a long time between, yeah, that's like, oh God, I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, and one more thing that I think that you could appreciate as well. It's that just as I mentioned last time we talked on my podcast, you and I remember I mentioned, sorry, I mentioned Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, that it had all of these '90s elements, right? Tamagotchis, and like in this game as well, you have your video game consoles, VHS tapes, and everything. So it's kind of like said in this era. So it like the homages that it pays towards. It's very palpable and it's very effective. I think that for me, and obviously the narrative in the end, which talks about like depression and mental health and something that like has been affecting their whole family of the protagonist. I think that's something that kind of it made me cry like in two ways, right? Because I was too afraid and because I was touched by it. So if a game can do that
That's cool.
for me, then if a game
What
can do
do
that
you know
for
what the
me,
critics
no, I
do
don't
you know
know
what the
what
critics didn't like about it?
I don't know. We can look it up if you want.
Nah, we're good. Fuck them. Um,
Yeah, because it's a horror game, man. Like I think that the criticism for horror is sometimes moot. Like, oh yeah, I wasn't too scared or I didn't vibe with it. Like I think horror more than any other genre is very personal. At least that's what I think.
yeah, and I feel like those straight up horror games tend to not get reviewed quite as well overall. Man, I guess a couple, but it's a tough genre to get good reviews on. I feel like. All right, my number 3 for positive. You'll like this one. Is Wanderstop, which got an 8 from critics. I think it might be up to an 8.1 now. And then I gave it a 9. I just
Nice.
think it's a really lovely cozy game. It's I like to say it's one of the only true cozy games. I guess it doesn't have, where you have to manage a shop or whatever, because usually those games are actually quite tense in a way. Like there's a lot of number crunching and just trying to get every little bit in. This game really has a very slow pace, or at least, I don't want to say slow pace. It lets you play at your own pace, right? Like
Mm.
your general goal is to make tea for different people that come through, and you can just do it as fast or as quick as you want. If you do it fast enough, there might literally be nothing to do for a bit. The game will kind of, I said it. We talked about this on your podcast, but you'll go up and be like, "Hey, what do I do next?" And like, "Oh, you don't have to do anything. Just chill." It's like, "Whoa, okay." It's got a nice story. As I said it's got it tackles its themes well. It has some great characters. The main tea shop guy, Boro, one of my favorite characters this year. He has stayed high on my ranks despite playing a lot of character heavy games. He's
Hmm.
super strong. Um, has some good moments in the plot. I love the ending. And I thought the team management was a lot of fun. I'm not someone that likes to just do nothing in a
Hmm.
game and just relax, whatever. But making the tea is like kind of a labor intensive process. So if you, like, for example, if you need clean dishes, right? So, and the
Hmm.
dishwasher takes a minute to clean the dishes. Growing your tea leaves or whatever, that takes a second. So I was like very devoted to being on top of everything, so I was never like stuck waiting for 2 minutes for something to happen. So that like gave me goals that I enjoyed. So I actually like the way they structured it too. I think the critics, from what I saw, that some people complained about the gameplay. A few complaints about the story. I did feel like the story left a few things, a little bit of meat on the bone. Like there's a lot of stuff they don't explain, and maybe that wasn't the point of the game, but they set up like some pretty compelling mysteries, and then they just kind of brush them aside. And like I said, I don't think that was the point of the game, was those mysteries, but I was intrigued by them, and I really wanted to hear more about them. So that would be my complaint, but I still thought it was a really special experience.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I quite loved Wanderstop. I gave it a 9.5, and I was also able to talk with Jenny Wyndham, their community manager of Ivy Road Games. So I've been able to talk plenty about this game before, and I'm glad that I have, because I think that the themes of burnout and overworking yourself is very timely. And I am quite surprised that you have it so high, because, as you have said before, you're like an objective driven player. So I thought that because of that, the game sometimes has you doing nothing. So I think that because of that, it would knock some points off of your score.
The thing is, it's so well made in like almost every way. Like it doesn't have any super big weakness. For my ranks, I don't have them in front of me, unfortunately, and I don't want to reveal too much anyway, but it's been, I think, in the middle of the top 10 for best art direction for me all year. It's been in the middle for best music all year. It's been like in that 5-6 range. Oro, one of my favorite characters this year. Story's been like, hanging somewhere in the top 10. It's just a great package. There's a lot of good stuff going on. So I think in general, this would not always be a game I love, but it's just so well executed and it's very well written too.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that game, I think that's why I gave it such a high score. I think that as years go by, maybe I'll go replay it sometime and feel just as touched by it, or be like, wow, I remember exactly where I was when I played this and how it made me feel, or, how it would make me feel in this future. But yeah, I think that it's a great game as well. But an 8? Anyway.
All right, you're number 2.
All right. Yes, I'm excited to talk about this game, because this is the first time that I'm talking about it on a podcast. Eric's Home, The Stolen Dream. It's a game that I was pining for, that I really wanted to review. I saw it on the Future Games Show reveal, I believe on their spring showcase.
Real quick, before you keep going, I knew you were excited about it. You were hyping it up for a while. And I looked, I forget, I looked into the developer. I'm like, man, I don't know, Andres. I don't know. I don't feel confident in this one. But yeah, it reviewed, what? It was, I think, an 8,
80, yeah, like.
Okay.
Yeah, I will completely agree with you there. I've reviewed over 85 games at this point. I think you're getting there as well, which, congratulations. But I think that sometimes you watch a trailer and you connect with it. You're like, this is my vibe. Maybe the music, the gameplay, the way it all is presented can, captivate you. And then, that's happened to me, that like I get the review code for it, and then I am just so disappointed. I'm like, no. As a friend said, like, you're supposed to be the chosen one, right? So thankfully, in Eric's Home, The Stolen Dreams case, it was very good. I really liked it a lot. I gave it also like a 9 as well. I think that the cinematics, which is what really captured me the first time that I saw it, were top notch. The cinematics were amazing. And it's really interesting to think that it was, it's a smaller studio, I believe 16 or 18 developers who worked on it. And to have like such high quality cinematics coming from such a small studio really proves that nowadays the democratization of video games is reaching new heights, right? At the same time, I don't want to say that smaller studios should be overworked or anything, right? I think that there is something to be said about that, but I think that the cinematics mixed with the top-down stealthy mechanics, that it's sort of like puzzle game, is something that I really loved, because you can control different characters, and then you have to position them in such a way that you have to knock out like some guards, and you have to do it in a very specific way as well. So when you finally pull it off, it just feels so rewarding. I think it can also be a little frustrating for some people. I can see it because it has like an insta fail if you like get caught, right? So some people don't like that, of course. So, and I would understand why, right? But I think that for the scope of the game in general, it's just really great. I really hope people look it up and give it a chance. Yeah, Eric. So
I played that game because of you, Andres, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. It is a very good game.
okay.
Spoilers for Big Nerd Gaming because I have not reviewed it on the site yet, but I'm going to be giving it an 8.5. I thought it was excellent. And our mutual friend on Blue Sky, Hannah, she says it's not really a stealth game, and that's why I actually don't think the insta-fail stealth thing is as big of a deal. And like you just said, it's a puzzle game with a stealth framework, right? So because there's really, I mean, there's maybe a couple times where I kind of got through something and I'm like, I don't know if I did that right, but for the most part, it feels like there's like one solution for every scenario, right?
I felt that too, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one or two where I was like, I think I was not supposed to do that, but I managed. But that's like kind of how stealth games work most of the time. It doesn't really work that way in this game overall. But man, the story, like you said, is really good. The cutscenes, a little stiff animation wise, but like for the small studio, really well done, really beautiful, very well voice acted, very strong characters. There's two of the main characters, Hannah and Alva, just have one of my favorite dynamics of the year. Just every interaction between them is so electric, and that is one of the few times where it's like, oh, this small studio. It is a $40 game, so there was a couple times where I was like, I know you're a small studio, I know you're indie, but man, I wish you had a couple more cutscenes because there's like one or two scenes where I'm like, I can't believe this isn't a cutscene. It's like just within the in-game engine, and there's like no facial expressions. I'm like, this is too good. I need a cutscene for this. But yeah. The stealth gameplay or puzzle gameplay is really strong. It's really well designed. I had a couple issues with like just visibility. I felt like they should have like outlined enemies. I don't know why. Like it's really easy to miss things. It's easy to miss the pipe that you climb up or the door you're supposed to go out or an enemy. Like there's just a lot of stuff like that where just accessibility things I think could be cleaned up a little bit. But yeah, the story is great. I mean, it's just so well done all around. It really surprised me for how good it was. And I mean, said critics having it at 8. I really think it at least deserves in that 85 range. I really do. Which isn't a big enough difference to be on my list, but I am with you overall.
Yeah, I mean, like the game itself does a great job at showcasing its strengths. That, as I said a couple of moments ago, it can, you can overlook some of its faults overall. But yeah. The pricing. Now that you mentioned the pricing, that's gonna be a conversation for a whole other podcast. But yeah, $40. I know that can make people expect maybe something of higher quality, even though it is of high quality. But now that Silksong is at 20, that can really skew people's perception. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. But let's talk about your second game. Yeah.
It's well worth 40, to be clear.
All
I
right.
just thought a couple of production values things. You generally would expect more from 40, but still an amazing game. Still very happy with the purchase, personally. My number 2 is Discounty, which critics, I think it's up to 7.6 now, but I gave it a 9. So my first job was as a retail supermarket employee. So this one clicked with me. Just the gameplay loop is so addicting. You have to set up your store. And the key is just like real life is to be very organized, right? Like you have a back room, you have a show floor, and it's like as customers are buying stuff, you got to restock stuff. And if everything's all over the place, it's going to be really tough to do, right? So it's like, just setting up my store in that perfect way where I had my produce section, my frozen section, whatever, and then having my back room. Like it's a real art. Like it is not easy, and the game doesn't handhold you to do it. You just have to figure it out, but it's so fun. But then the game has a secret sauce, though, because I think if it was just organizing things and stocking things, it would get kind of boring. But you also have to check out the customers, right? So when they come up to the register, you have to scan them out. So early in the game, as each item comes to the register, you actually have to type in the price, and there's a price list next to you. And there's it's like a kind of mini game for typing it in. And it's really addicting. And early on, like I'm like fumbling, like, and then a couple hours in, I'm like banana $7 or whatever, and then I'm like, I see the banana. I'm not even looking at the price list. I have it memorized. Like I'm like 7, boom. I'm just like, because if you take too long, the customers can get upset.
You memorized it. This is the first time I'm hearing about this mechanic. That's the selling point for me now.
It's really cool. So, but then here's the other funny part. So later on, you unlock a scanner instead, a barcode scanner. And I was like, oh man, I was putting so much work into like memorizing the prices, and this is a lot easier. But you scan the things based off what type of item they are. It's a lot faster, which it has to be because customers start getting a lot of items. So you kind of start memorizing that, like, oh, frozen, I flip it this way, right? Produce, I flip it this way. So same type of mechanic. Really addictive. I think I played the game for 14 hours, and like maybe I was a little tired of that by like the last half an hour, but I was just all in. And then it actually is a really good story. Like most cozy games, like or sim management games, don't really have great story. This one has a really interesting story about like kind of a dying town. This corporation comes in. Obviously, it's a corporation. It's a story about capitalism, so there's a lot of greed. It has its shots at capitalism, but I feel like a lot of games when they talk about capitalism just get very one-dimensional and
Preachy,
note
right?
in a way that it's just like I get it. We get it. Capitalism's evil. Yeah, we all know, right?
Yeah.
All the economic systems are kind of bad, really.
Yeah.
But like this game actually like holds the people themselves feet to the fire a little bit too. So small plot spoiler, but early on in the game, the grocery store is next to a tea shop. Funny enough, with Wander Stop, an old tea shop, and they make clear the tea shop has been abandoned for 2 years, right? And so the supermarket expands into that. That's your first expansion, which triggers a new gameplay loop where you're like reorganizing your store and stuff, which is pretty fun. You do that a couple times throughout the game. But yeah, so that you go into the tea shop and the people in town are mad at you, and it's like, well, what do you want? This has been abandoned for 2 years. Like what else is going to go in there? So it's just and I see this in my own hometown. Maybe you see it in yours, but it's like whenever there's an old building, people get, and it's like abandoned, but people get sentimental about it, and it's like, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. We're just going to leave it here. What's the plan? So it's and it talks about how people will take a stand on these things, but then go right back to the corporation, right? Like most consumers don't have these strong convictions that they want to portray that they have. So it's an interesting kind of tug of war there. I enjoyed the story up to the end. A couple things at the end of that I felt like they didn't resolve at launch when I reviewed it, because I did get that review code. It definitely had some glitches that were annoying. I think recent patches have cleaned up a lot of those from what I've seen. It sold really well. I think it's already sold over 100,000 copies, which shocked me. I think if you've been a retail worker in particular, and you understand, like, if you've been a retail worker, you understand, like, the importance of organization. You probably have some of that skill set. If you've done that, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you like those sim management games, though, I think it has a lot of cool things that a little different than the norm.
I was very much looking forward to hearing your perspective on this county, because if you look at the art style, it looks like one of those really cozy, wholesome games that is geared towards a certain type of player, right? Which I very much do not categorize you as. So I was very interested to see, you singing its praises. We have, for a year now, a little bit over a year, we have this great rapport where we recommend games, and you've introduced me some amazing games like Nine Souls, of course, and this county is definitely on my list because of this. Because your review, if anybody's listening and hasn't read Westen's review, please go read that. Like I wanted to say, because we talked about this the other day, that I said, like, I think your writing is getting better, and you said, like, I don't know if this is like a compliment or not, but what I meant to say is that, like, there is a baseline. There is a baseline, for me. Like, what I meant to say is that it's a baseline, good writing, good level of writing, but then you see sparks of, like, wow, this is very great. And I think that the way that you write about your discounty review, you write about, like, something about Russians and Americans, and then you mention your life experience, and then you tie it all up with the gameplay and the mechanics of the game. I think that was quite brilliant. So yeah, go read that review.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'll be real. Like, I write 2 blogs a week as a working father. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and keeping up the quantity is important to me. But there's definitely pieces where I'm like, this wasn't as good as some others, you know. So yeah, I did think that one was good. I thought it had a good hook, so I appreciate that. I didn't actually take offense, but I enjoyed playing it up like I did. But yeah, so and that is one thing I will say is I think that's one reason why the critics didn't like it as much is the city life portion is not very compelling. There's not a lot to do in the city, you know, which you could say ties in well with the themes of capitalism, right? You have to, you're just focused on your work. So yeah, there's not enough to do in the city. There's literally like there's a lot of work to do at the store, especially when you expand and you have a lot of organization to do and like ordering products and restocking after hours, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot to do at the store, but there was definitely days where I was like, I guess I'm going to sleep at 8 o'clock because I don't know what else there is to do today. But that kind of stuff doesn't matter as much to me. Like, you know, when people get into cozy games and they're, "Oh, I love this character." I'm like, I don't know. They say like the same thing every day. Like, I don't think they're that cool. But
My God, you're 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 killing people left and right out here, man. Damn.
all right, you're number one.
Oh my God. All right, yeah. Let's move on from that from that
Yeah, let's
bomb.
pretend I'll edit that out or not.
It's
We'll
no,
see.
no, don't. It's a good one. It was funny. The Nightling is the game that I gave it a 10, and it says a 7.4 on OpenCritic, which as I was playing it, you know, just like Harold Halibut, I knew it would be hit or miss for some people. I think that for me, the Nightling, it's a semi-open world. It's very whimsical. You play as the Nightling, right? You play as the like kind of shield bearer, like the squire, you know, this very skinny little dude, right, who is, you know, helping the knight in the game, but then the knight gets lost and you become the protagonist, right? So you're very eager to help people out, and the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics of the shield, you can slide down, you know, hills, and the art style is very colorful and beautiful, and I think that it reminded me a lot of kind of like the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, you know, which is a game that I very much loved. I had a GameCube, you know, I was young back then, and I think that I think like gacha games co-opted open world games, you know, because in gacha games like, you know, Genshin Impact, when it exploded in 2020, a bunch of other games do the same thing where, you know, the open worlds are just vehicles for you to grind out, you know, these new areas, but what they really want for you to do is, you know, to just buy money, like buy their currency to pull for new characters. And I think it was, and then you have on the other side like Tears of the Kingdom, which is a very, like, I think it's a very demanding game, right? Like there's ways to get across, you know, the land, but in essence it's quite massive. And I think that when I think about like replaying, I don't know, Breath of the Wild, I just think running.
It's raining. Fuck you.
I just
That's how I
remember,
feel.
no, no, exactly. Like I just remember running through fields, and I think I was scrolling my phone while doing that, you know. So to get this kind of game, which has this very beautiful soundtrack, once again, very fantasy, adventure like, and to have the map itself is very layered, it's very rich. You won't spend like less than 2 minutes before finding, I don't know, a bandit camp, a hidden treasure, a puzzle, quest, right? So I think that the whole like, and I equate this to like a Promise Mascot Agency, right? Sometimes I just review games and I can stop playing there, but I wanted to keep on playing, I wanted to keep on discovering what the world was hiding, right? So I think that I really liked it. That's why I gave it that score. But I mean, it also grabbed me in a good mood because last week was my birthday week, right? My birthday was last Sunday, so I was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna give a game a 10, one game a year, right? And I was like, well, let it be this one, right? I think it deserves it. I really liked it. But talking about like the critics, the criticism is that I feel some critics took issue with the combat, that it's not as fleshed out as it could have been or as impactful. And to that, I really disagree because there's a very crunchy parry that I love. But I will say
Crunchy berries.
that it really does take a while, you know, for you to unlock all of these skills and abilities to actually be like, you know, the best or take advantage of all that the game has to offer. But yeah.
Gave it a 10, so I mean that means I have to play it. So it is on my radar to jump into. I think it's Steam Deck verified, so that's probably my plan once my Steam Deck clears up from a couple other games I'm playing. So good stuff. So that we'll see, but I aligned with you on being above the critics with your last 10, which was Harold Halibut. So I'm excited. I'm excited to jump in. All right, my number one. I gave it a 9.5. Critics gave it a 7.4. It is Rematch. The online. I can't believe how much for people that don't know me. I don't really play multiplayer games. It's just hard. Like, I'm looking to experience as many things each year as I can. So getting stuck into a multiplayer game is just not what I want to do. Like, and you know, they get old after a while, right? Like, and there's a lot that are the same thing. And I enjoyed Helldivers 2 a lot last year, but I didn't stay in it for very long still. But I think that, to me, is the most beautiful thing about a multiplayer video game. And I'm someone that plays a lot of basketball. I think the teamwork element, like a game that truly requires like real teamwork, is really appealing to me. And Helldivers does require a good element of teamwork. But this game is like true teamwork. You cannot solo anything in this game, right? Mm-hmm. You can't just dribble up and do some fancy moves and shoot and score. You got to work with your teammates. You got to pass your teammates. You got to coordinate. So it's just talking to your friends and playing feels so good. I'm not a big sports game fan either, which is funny. But this game, it has this nice mix of arcade and realistic. Like, it's like a Rocket League type arena, right? So you can play off walls and stuff. But the movement and like the dribble and the shooting and the volleying, I mean, obviously not 100% accurate, but it feels pretty real. It feels about as real as you can expect. And like, you have to actually aim your passes. Like, it doesn't just like magnet your pass to whoever you're looking at, right? Like, you really have to aim out like how you pass it, like the strength of it, all that. It takes some work, but it's like really, man, when it works, it feels so good. Like, me and my buddies, when we play, like we're looking at our highlights after, and it's like, man, that was awesome. You know, it looks good. And then playing as a goalie is totally different experience, and it's also really fun.
Yeah.
Critics dinged it. I mean, it was a little buggy at launch. It still has some issues. I think it's being cleaned up, and I always thought that stuff was a little overstated. When I play shooters with people, they're constantly complaining. Like, they're I shot him first. You know what I mean? So it's like, Rematch has those moments, or at least it did have a decent amount, where you're like, I got to that ball first. You know, it's the same shit that you see in every fucking multiplayer game, just in a different context. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Ever since it launched, I still pretty much play it weekly, which is just unheard of for me. I mean, no multiplayer game does that for me. And it was dinged for not having crossplay at launch, which I found a little silly because A, we knew it was coming, and they're not going to update the reviews after when it gets it. B, does a console exclusive game get dinged for? I mean, obviously it doesn't have crossplay, right? So yeah, crossplay actually just launched, I believe, today as we're recording this. So yeah, and they got upset about lack of modes too, which I think the way to play the game is 5-on-5. I think if they gave too many modes, it would take people off the mode that they should be playing at, which 5-on-5 requires the maximum amount of teamwork. So that's what the game's about, is teamwork. So, and that's what soccer's about. So yeah, nice mix of arcade and realistic, unlike anything else out there. Oh, 6-minute games. I love that, especially as a dad. Yeah, dude. I mean, I think that was like with Helldivers. Like, I enjoyed it, but it really felt like you had to play those half-an-hour matches to get the most out of it. And I mean, which is great, but just getting in 6 minutes, a lot of fun. I can jump in and play a couple games if I want. Really enjoy it. So, yeah, huge surprise for me. I did not expect to like it. In fact, I think when I saw it, their initial trailer, I was disappointed because this is from the Seafood developers. I'm like, I can't believe that's what they're making.
Slow clap, yeah.
And then over time, I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a try. It's on Game Pass, and absolutely love it. So
yeah. That was a very fantastic summary of what you like about it. But I just heard me and my buddies, and I tuned out like, oh, like, where's my invitation? Like, no, I mean, no, I'm joking. Like, I have been this close to playing like and it's so ironic because I am from Mexico and we have very passionate soccer fans over here obviously, but
Just a
I
little bit.
yeah, but I've never really been into soccer. I've been into video games, as you can see, so it's been very quite surprising to see you like take this left turn. Like I will be completely honest, discounty in this game. I'm like, if you ask me at the beginning of the year, like, would Westen like this game? These games, I'd be like, absolutely not. He likes, Metroidvanias or whatnot. But then, like, you really are like full of surprises, man. I'm glad. Like,
My preferences, I do play everything, like outside of like real-time strategy, I guess, and a couple of those more PC exclusive type games. But I did love Unicorn Overlord last year, which not full real-time strategy, but
right, right.
city builders. I guess I don't play a lot of, but yeah, I play everything. But yes, I'm open to anything. I really am.
Yeah, and I think these
But
games are a
yeah,
testament to like break out from the mold. So it's been a joy to see, honestly.
absolutely. All right. Now let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to the negatives. So our three games where we are more negative than the critics. If you're here, if you're still here, congrats. You're to the good stuff.
What?
If you're still listening to this podcast, you have made it to the good part of the podcast. The best. I mean, not that it wasn't already good, but this is where,
Okay,
this is the
okay.
good stuff.
I was like,
All
what?
right, number three. What is your biggest number three disagreement?
I think that honestly, the one that I feel the strongest is gonna be number one, which I think you already know of. Because we talked about this beforehand. Let's just get these two others of mine out of the way. Mandragora, Whispers of the Witch Tree. It's a great Soulsvania, which is a term that I found out while reviewing this game. Which is, as it says, mixture between Dark Souls and a Metroidvania. I took issue with it and I gave it a 7. And the score is actually 7.6, so a little bit higher from critics. But the problem for me was that, as you get review codes, and it's like sometimes you need to finish the game to be able to get on with the writing. A Souls game is something that like you should not be pressured to like finish, because there's like I don't know, a very annoying enemy position, traps, difficult bosses, all sorts of issues that will really hinder your progress. So if you're really on a tight deadline, and then the game is throwing all of these hurdles at you, you're gonna be angry at the game. So I wanna apologize to Mandragora for giving it a 7. If I'm honest, because the game is actually good. I've come around. They've updated it since. They've added like new modes and quests and stuff. So, that's something that I always celebrate when developers go and do that, right? When they don't just like release a broken product, and then just leave it, right? So yeah, the game is worthwhile, but I gave it a lower score.
This wasn't supposed to be a section where you got positive. I'm upset.
I mean, what were you supposed?
The demo didn't really click with me for that. I just played the demos. But yeah, that's the craziest part about Souls, like Silksong. Like I told you about a section I was getting frustrated with. I put it down for the night. I picked it up today, and all of a sudden I was like better at it. It's so weird, right? It doesn't feel like that's how it should be, but it is that way. Sometimes you just got to put the game down, and it actually helps. But when you're on a review schedule, you can't really do that, right? So yeah, you need time. You need time to do that for sure. I have a few that are like indies that are smaller indies, and they maybe had like 8 or 9 reviews. So I feel like that's why my score was so much lower, So I didn't include those. I mostly kept it to like somewhat bigger games. So my number 3 is Fantasy Life I, which I gave a 7. I believe the critic score is currently at 8.6. I just
Like, I think that's too high. I'm sorry, but like talking
yeah.
about anyway, go on.
I'm surprised at the score. Look, I understand the appeal, right? If you want to see the numbers go up, goddamn, Fantasy Life I has numbers going up, right? I forget off the top of my head, I think you have like 12 lives, they call it, or 13 lives. That's like the jobs, right? You can level all of them up, and there's a skill tree for all of them, and you can level up this open world area, and there's a lot you can do, right? But I think there's just so much of it, it starts to feel like empty calories to me. I'm doing these level ups. It just doesn't feel like I'm actually getting anywhere with them. The main story I was interested in. It feels like it's literally just designed to introduce all the different areas in the game. There's really nothing much going on with it. Has some poop jokes, so I'm sure, my daughter might like it one day, but not my thing. And it's just it just slowly, like, I was really into it for like maybe 5 or 6 hours, and then just slowly was like, I'm not getting anywhere with this. It just I'm just kind of slowly watching the numbers go up, but it's not like doing much for me. There's like a town you can kind of build up. It feels like it probably takes a while to like really be able to unlock a lot of things there. The jobs themselves have some similarities and get kind of uninteresting to me, like chopping wood and mining ore is like the same thing. And it's pretty combat heavy, but the combat's just pretty standard. It's probably decent for a cozy game, but I feel like this game had a little too much combat. And I wish you could like flip jobs easier and like, shoot them with the bow and then hit the sword. Like it's kind of one dimensional. So I respect it for what it does, and I definitely see why some people just are in love with it, but it wore out its welcome for me after like 10 hours.
Yeah, it's very out of character for me to wish for a game to have a lower score. What I just said in the beginning, I just wanted to point that out. But that is absolutely true. I have played level 5 games, the studio, and I was trying to look up or remember their previous game on the Switch, which is also like a sort of dungeon crawler. I think it's food based, but the problem with that is that, yeah, the combat is not like that good. It's not impactful, and it's just going through the motions, especially as you said in the categories of base building and dungeon crawling. I think that I mean, I haven't really played it yet, but I've seen a lot of gameplay now, and I think that the issue is that it's not that it falls flat, but it's just very middling, right? I think that's basically my argument with that is that it's good, but I would give it an 8 at most, is what I'm saying. Yeah,
It's a really high score for what that game is, in my opinion. But there are a lot of people that love it. So if you just like numbers going up, if you like the grind, that's the thing. It's like it's a grind, in my opinion. Like, it's got that sort of JRPG thing going for it. So if you like the grind, there is appeals there, I suppose.
yeah. See, that's the thing. I do, but it really depends. Oh yeah, Snack World. As I said, it was food based. Sorry, we can move on. But yeah, the game was called Snack World, and I think that Fantasy Life 5, from what I've looked at the gameplay, it feels very similar. Very cartoony art style, very unserious, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's kind of like the vibe that the game is going for. But at the same time, I can see why it would not be doing anything for you in any of these, regards.
All right, you're number 2.
I'm gonna try to not be as positive, even though I absolutely will. Hurdling.
Damn it!
Hurdling is a game that I give a 7, and the score is actually an 8 on Open Critic. So it's so crazy to me because for those who haven't played or heard about Hurdling, is this game that it's very kind of like Journey in a way. I say that I hate people that compare indie games to Journey all the time, but I just did. So the thing is that it's I'm trying to find the word. It's very like, because there are no dialogues, and it's all very like going through it's very artistic. You are just this guy who controls a herd through these open fields, and sometimes there's like hazards and like birds that are trying to attack your herd, and you just have to guide them. You just have to guide them all the way through to the end, which is like the top of a mountain. And I think that it's just a very kind of esoteric, very magical experience because, as I said, there's no dialogues, but sometimes you're running down a hill with your herd, and the music is just like blasting, and it just feels like when you're really into it, it really works. But then sometimes when you're trying to control your herd and they don't respond, it can become very annoying, and I can see that happening because it did to me. But then as I said, now I've come around to it once again because I played it for a review, and then I played it again for a stream, and the thing with that which was very funny, is that
Damn it! I thought we were getting there.
Because I already knew how the game worked, like the kind of flimsy herding mechanics. I finally connected with them. So by the time I was playing it on stream, I wasn't as annoyed, right? So that just brings up like a whole other kind of worms, which is the first and second impression that you can have about a game. But as you said, you want us to be negative, so I will stop there. And yeah, I gave her like a 7.
Games are, we underestimate that, right? Like the mood, our mood really can dictate how, I mean, I think we've all had a game that didn't click with us at first and then tried again and it worked better. So, and hurdling, I think, is only like 3 hours, so it makes sense,
It is, yeah.
right? And it's only 3 hours, so I think just because I just played Sword of the Sea, which is another Journey-like, we'll call, which, I mean, Journey is one of those games where I feel like is really easy. Like, it's a silent narrative adventure game that's not, like, super hard, right? It's a really easy game to compare other things to. So, and I think a lot of games have been inspired by Journey over the years.
Very
so
atmospheric, yeah.
But yeah, no, actually, I'm coming around. I kind of like this bit where you're just actually positive on all the negative ones. It's kind of a funny bit. I like this. I've come around. This is perfect, actually.
Well, be ready because that's the last time.
All right. Well, my number 2. Oh God, do I do it? My number 2 is Blueprints.
Oh no, I'm gonna fight you.
I gave a 6. Critics gave it an 8.9. Look, in some ways I didn't want to include this because I do understand the reviews.
I'm
right?
out.
Like it's this isn't like Fantasy Life I, where I'm kind of like, I feel like critics really should have given this like an 8. You know what I mean? Like I get it, but 8.6 is kind of high, right? I get why Blueprints is kind of unlike anything else, right? It's a roguelike / puzzle game. Some really cool exploration, some really cool puzzles, really interesting lore if you read up on it, right? But man, it's annoying as hell. It's just so annoying. Like it's like, so this is the main one that you'll see is if people complain about the RNG, right? Like you need keys and stuff to get through the runs, and when you go up to a new room, you can select the new room, and there's different pathways. And it's just so easy to get stuck. Like, it's just so easy for a run to die out of nowhere. And in my view, with an action roguelike game, like, say, Spelunky, a game that doesn't really have a lot of upgrades, or any upgrades, really, if I recall, you still get better at the game. You learn where traps are and stuff. With a roguelite, with those upgrade mechanics, every run you're building up your character. So you have that. With this game, there was just, even early on, I just felt like there's a lot of runs where I'm like, that was completely worthless. I got absolutely nothing out of that. I made no progress in any way whatsoever. That sucked. And sometimes you'll know what you need to do. You figured it out. And just the wait for everything to come together is so infuriating. It's the worst, right? And people will say, like, well, you just got to let go and not worry about it. Well, no, like, I am. And there's just a lot of little things, like, for example, like, having a lot of keys is vital to get through most of the time. And for example, this is one of the rooms that just made me go, I don't know about this game, right? So there's a locker room, right? And I think there's like freaking 12 locked lockers in there. And it's like, you just know one of those lockers probably has something important. I think actually I looked it up and it wasn't as important as you'd think, but like, realistically, if you're trying to get through the game and figure out all the lore, like, you probably got to unlock every locker. How many runs is that going to take? And it's going to kill your run because you're going to run out of keys. Because keys are so vital. Maybe, I think if you play more, you unlock a few more where you can have them at the start of the run. But just a lot of things like that. And I love puzzle games. Like, I have loved puzzle games forever. I like walking into a puzzle, knowing that I have the tools to solve the puzzle, and then working to solve the puzzle. With Blueprints, sometimes you'll go into a room and you're like, do I have all the information needed to solve this puzzle? I literally don't know. And, eventually you reach a point like, I guess I'll look at a guide because I feel like I should have the knowledge by now. And it's like, oh, it was all self-contained in this room. But there's other puzzles where you get important info in other rooms. So it's just weird. Like, it's a game, I feel like, that's, if you're really into lore, it's great. And I think I think it's actually more of an exploration game
Yeah.
than a puzzle game, like for its strengths, personally.
I think that you're simply wrong. No, I'm I'm joking. I think that the game is brilliant because it really makes you work for it as any good roguelike should. But I will say that I did Google some stuff. I did get frustrated. I did kill a bunch of runs, trying to get somewhere, and then I didn't get anywhere, and hours would go by without any breakthrough. I think that this game, I define it as like it's just like therapy, right? You make a breakthrough, and you feel like you're making so much progress, like you're getting somewhere, and then boom, you hit another wall, and then another wall, and then another wall. So I can definitely see getting really frustrated, especially as you said with the RNG mechanics. And one of the reasons, I don't know if you knew this, but the thing that I think Blueprints got such a high score is because before the game came out, a month before the game came out or so, the developers set up like a Discord with 40 game developers, and they were all chatting in there and like solving the puzzles sort of together. So I think that sense of community also gave it like a higher score than it would have otherwise, I believe.
That's a great call, because I when I watched reviews, I saw a lot of reviewers talking to other reviewers, and that's always like that's always been odd to me with a puzzle game, right? Because it's like it's kind of like just going to a guide, except it's just your friend telling you the answer. Like, I mean, I guess your friend could maybe try and hint it, but I was like, isn't this just like using a guide? I know with like the lore, they're like piecing stuff together. I've heard that, but yeah, I mean, it's either you're looking stuff up in a guide, because I mean, I don't know of anybody that either didn't use somebody or didn't use a guide. Like if you're playing this game, you're probably using one or the other. It's such a tough thing to like, when do you reach that breaking point? Because like you don't want to do that, right? Like when you play these games, you don't want to do that, and it's just so like stressful. Like I don't want to go to this guide. I don't want to go to this guide. I'm gonna hate it when I go to this guide. But then you just reach that point, and then you don't feel good after. I finally reached my breaking point with this one safe room, and it was like one of the dumbest puzzle solutions I've seen. There's statues, and it's very dumb. It's a Silent Hill 2-esque ass puzzle, but you don't know that this game has Silent Hill 2 puzzles. You know what I mean? So it pissed me off. So I was like, I hate this. But I read the lore, and the lore is really cool, and I get it, and I get how it can click with people. Personally, as a puzzle game aficionado, generally, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, just one more thing that I think is a little controversial, but I think that this is something that also took part into why it got such a high score. I think that Jason Schreier, which is an amazing journalist, he had been saying like the whole month on Blue Sky, I don't know if on Twitter, but like the whole month before the game release, he was like, I have played one of the best games of all time. This is going to be like a tentpole release. And, everybody eventually found out that he was talking about Blueprints. So I think that when a gaming journalist of his size kind of signals that he's going to give it a 10 or a very good review, it's going to encourage other people to do it as well.
I think with puzzle games and Souls-like games, it takes bravery from the reviewer sometimes to give it a bad score, especially when it's like clearly a difficult puzzle game or a difficult, Souls-like game, because you're going to get those attacks, right? Like you're just an idiot. Like you couldn't solve the puzzles. That's why you don't like the game. You get good at the Souls-like. Yeah. So it's always a tough thing with both those genres, in my opinion. Like it takes bravery to say you don't like them, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
All right, here we go. Number 1, time for some Andres hate. Let's go.
Andres, oh my god, you and others have brought this up ever since I talked about this game. Andres hates, and it's not AndresPlays anymore. And it's so funny to me because the game that I wanted to talk about is Expedition 33, Clair Obscur. The game that everybody loves. It's a resounding success, both financially and with critics and people at large. Honestly, I just want to say a little disclaimer for those who don't know me, is that when I did not officially score this game. I did not review it, but just for the purpose of this podcast, which Westen really pressured me to do, I will play along because in my review I praised it for being poetic, somber, and having dynamic combat. But then I later posted on my social media accounts that it was derivative, and that caught quite a stir. Right, some people really took it in a very wrong way. A friend, I think, unfollowed me, and then a couple days later was like, yeah, maybe I got a little too heated. And the reason that I mentioned that is because I did not like the way that people were talking about it, because it kind of evidenced that they hadn't played many JRPGs in their lives. And also because of the fact that I was listening to a Game Informer podcast, and one of the guests was saying, like, Expedition 33 is a game that you're not embarrassed to show to your family or friends. And like, I took an issue with that because I love JRPGs. I've been playing JRPGs all my life, and while I agree that some games, some of these Japanese games do have like this kind of really clumsy hot spring scene or whatnot, I think that if you take that apart, like if you really focus on the story and other elements, I think that there's some really heavy narratives that, just because their art style is more, cartoony or anime esque, I think that just makes people go like, it's not serious, right? And I think that that's why I took an issue with it. But I think I'm going off script because I'm not talking about the game itself. I think that the game is quite great. The combat. There's some things in the third act that the epilogue was great, but in the third act there's like a sort of reveal that, being a massive JRPG player, I saw coming miles away, and also some story beats were spoiled. So I think that it didn't have as much of an impact. I saw people saying like, within the first 10 minutes I'm crying, and I never really felt connected to the characters. I did understand their plight, of course, right? Fighting against this insurmountable enemy, which is very much in line with JRPGs. And the developers have said on record, right, that they were inspired by, Persona and classic Final Fantasy. So I commend them for that. But yeah, I think that I got a little, I resented the game's success in a way.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think that's what it is it's a game that's built for non-JRPG fans to enjoy the genre, and there are definitely been a lot of people that take a dump on JRPGs as a whole now, and in a way that's unnecessary, because the game is inspired by those games, right? It is funny because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was my game of the year last year. In my nerdies, I gave it the most embarrassing game to play with my wife around, because just Tifa and some other things, but
yeah, the beach scenes and stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, of course she walks down during that, and it's like, that's not why I'm playing the game, okay? I'm literally not playing for Tifa's massive boobs. Like, it's not why I'm playing the game. I'm playing it for a variety of reasons. Well, we won't talk about it here, but it's a great game, right? It's my favorite game from last year, and not one reason is Tifa's boobs. I swear. Like, I swear, it's not me. But yeah, I mean, I love the game. Like, it's my front runner for game of the year. I think the art direction, the music, I think the story is fantastic. I think the characters are really interesting. I think the performances are fantastic. And I think Jennifer English, I think she deserves awards. I think Ben Starr showed me a level that I didn't know if he had. I loved him as Clive. And I thought Versa was just kind of okay, that's more of that. No, a very interesting character. One of the most interesting. It's a game where I actually didn't like love the characters, but I found them fascinating. I feel like there's a lot of nuance to a lot of them. So I love the game, but yeah, I understand your point there.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like to antagonize the game, because being completely honest, it also really re-energized the conversation that we should have more AA games, right? Games with somewhat smaller studios, smaller budgets, not these 300 million for like Spider-Man 2. and stuff. So I think that I'm really glad that that conversation is being brought on because of Expedition 33. I also agree that Ben Starr. I really liked the conversations when you're in that camp because they're very brief,
Yes, they're
right?
great.
Like, and
Yeah.
they're not that long, really. Talking with Mael and who is the girl who was barefooted, like
Loon.
Lune. Yeah, Lune.
Yeah.
She's awesome. Like I like that she's very stubborn, very strict, but then like she breaks down a bit. She like she becomes a little bit friendlier, and I like they're really, even though the game is short, compare, I mean, there's a lot of side content which I also very much liked and appreciate, but I really like that in the somewhat shorter game time they really did the best with what it had, basically.
Yeah. Those campfire scenes are fantastic. There's like arcs to all of them that end really well. The game has some humor. It's still pretty dark, but at least it throws in a few lighthearted moments. So yeah, a lot of great stuff. I mean, I can assure you we will be talking more about that game on this podcast at the end of the year. But I'm glad you still worked a lot of positivity into that we kept the bit going.
It's hard for me not to, man, but I want to hear your number one.
All right. Oh man. God, every time I'm nervous because I feel like I'm really gonna piss some people off. So my number one is a game I gave a 5.5, and it has a critic score of 8.7 on OpenCritic. So excited! I love this. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Here's my thing, man. I haven't played the Xenoblade Chronicles games. I like briefly jumped into two and it just like wasn't the right time for me. I would like to go back to the trilogy because the hype I see is like incredible, right? But that hype is about the story. People hype that series up because they say the story, the writing, the way it all comes together is amazing. Xenoblade Chronicle X has a fucking awful story. I mean, there's nothing going on with the story. So that's number one. Like the main strength of the franchise is not there. Side note, it's a remaster, right? So this is a Wii U game, I believe. I think the Wii U game was like an 8.3 on OpenCritic, and somehow this remaster is suddenly at an 8.7. Like,
I think,
what's going on there?
yeah, I think
Okay.
it came out initially on Wii, not on Wii U, which is, quite a long time ago.
Yeah, right. And it's like it's weird that this game got way better reviews as a remaster. And yeah, reviewers are reviewing the remaster, but like the quality of the game is still part of it, right? Like if it's an amazing remaster of a bad game, it's not going to get way better scores than it would have gotten generally. So yeah, and you can see the old school open world design. There's just like a bazillion icons on the screen, and there's just too much nothing. It's like the stuff people complain about with Horizon or Assassin's Creed on like Overload. The combat's just like that kind of MMO combat. I think it's okay for that kind of combat, but I mean, there's a reason I feel like more games don't use that kind of combat because it's kind of a weird in between. Like it's not as strategic as like a more turn-based system, but it's not as fun as an action game. So I mean, maybe that's just a personal, like I don't like that as much, but combat wasn't doing it for me. And then the big thing that everyone hypes you on is like you get a mech, right? And you can fly around the mech, and the clips of the mech are pretty cool, right? It takes like 30 hours apparently to get to that friggin' mech. So it's just I don't know, man. It's just a lot of grind and just like the worst open world design with no story just to get to this cool mech. It just
Yeah.
was not for me. I just don't understand how it got so much better reviews than, or at least solidly better reviews than the original game got. So that is my number one. I did not enjoy that game. I'll still try Xenoblade Chronicles one day, but this scared me off for a little while.
I would like to think that one of the reasons it got such high scores is because it's like the one last game that it had that hadn't been accessible on modern consoles. So I think that diehard Xenoblade fans were obviously influenced by that in their scores, or at least that's my theory, right? I mean, I played two, and I dropped it because I wanted to like it, but I found out that I was just pushing through because I like JRPGs, as I mentioned a moment ago. So I thought that I would like this game, but the combat, as you said, this kind of MMO-esque that sometimes has you pressing buttons, and the crowded UI. I don't know. There's just something that as you said a couple of minutes ago, like you would want to think that eventually it'll click, but then you're just forcing yourself through it. So I think that I don't have any much positives to say about the Xenoblade Saga, but I believe that, as you said, that at least the three games that came out, like Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, and the DLC of 3 apparently has a very great closure to the whole arc that started in the first ones. You know, maybe someday I'll give it a try, but as you said, it's very slow. It takes a very slow pace, and sometimes we don't have enough time in our daily lives to spend, like, you know, in a 100-hour JRPG, right?
Right, and that's the problem too. Is you put, like, I tried this once with the Yakuza games. I played Yakuza 0, freaking loved it. Right, amazing game. So I'm like, I gotta play them all, right? I gotta play all the games. So then I play Kiwami, right, or whatever, and I was like, okay, like I enjoyed it. Then I played Kiwami 2, and I was like, all right, I think I can't do this.
I'm tapped out.
But then it's like I got so burnt out of it, I could never go back. I mean, luckily I've picked the series back up with the new Like a Dragon stuff. But yeah, like it's those games. It's a commitment, man. It's a real commitment. So I pulled out of Xenoblade Chronicles X pretty quickly. I think I got like 6 or 7 hours. I'm like, I knew. I think once I saw that the mech was going to take like 30 hours, I'm like, I'm not going to get through 30 hours of this to get there. I'm just not. So, yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of people like it. So, you know, direct your hate to the comments or to Big Nerd Gaming on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Threads. Or to my email, bignerdgamingtakes@gmail.com.
I have to say, every time that you and I talk since last year, when I first invited you to my podcast, it's an absolute delight hearing your perspectives on video games. It's always refreshing because, as I mentioned, I don't know what to expect from you, man. Like, this county, that soccer game, like, who are you? Like, honestly, like, I really thought, like, it's been over an hour, and you haven't mentioned Shinobi, Art of Vengeance, or the Rogue Prince of Persia. Like, I was fully expecting that, like, you'd go on a rant of how great these games are or something, but no, you go on these, like, very succinct conversation about multiplayer and cooperation. Like, who are you, man? Honestly, like.
Dude, I gotta keep people on their toes. I haven't played Shinobi yet, but that is on the radar, and the Rogue's really good. Another review. I have like such a backlog of reviews to write, which I'm just ruining by doing this podcast. But the thing is, the podcast is a lot of fun. This is exactly why I wanted to start this podcast, so I could talk with my friends like you who love video games, and we can have these kind of conversations that I think are fun, and hopefully people enjoyed listening to this, and hopefully, like, on the positive side, you know, people discovered a game, like, I should try this game, and hopefully on the negative side, people didn't get too mad.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'm excited to see how it shapes up, and once again, as I said, I'm honored to be the first guest, and, you know, I'll be rooting for you, as you know.
I really appreciate that, man. You are a truly great friend. I am excited to be on your podcast again at some point. I'm sure. I mean, we'll be on each other's podcasts. It's just how it is. We'll be in the DMs. We'll be liking each other's posts. It's just how it is. Okay. So you get on Rematch, you know. So we'll play some Rematch. I'll teach you all about soccer since you apparently don't know anything about it. The American will teach you about soccer.
That is so funny. Like, honestly. But yeah,
that is it for this week. Oops. Yes, I'm excited for it. I want to thank Andres before we go. Plug whatever you want to plug, your social media.
Well, yeah, of course, yes. Anybody who liked what I said or maybe didn't, as Westen said, my name is AndresPlays on Blue Sky, on YouTube and on Twitch. I stream every Tuesday, mostly indie games, sometimes Souls-likes, if I'm feeling it. But yes, I always try to showcase indie games more often than not, as I just did Quartet, and really excited to see what's on the horizon. There's this game coming out soon that's called Consume Me. And now I have a gaming laptop. Yeah, I'm gonna try to champion that one as well. Now I have a gaming laptop, which is a very exciting new prospect for me because, as you know, I had only like consoles for all of my life, and now I have access to Steam and its plethora of games, which I'm very excited to try.
I will throw some links in the description. I'm getting new at this hosting thing, so hopefully I did everything right there. But with the niceties for letting people promote their stuff. But yeah, definitely follow Andres. If you're here, I don't know, you probably already follow him because he's a lot bigger than me. But in the off chance that you're not, try and make this worth his time, I guess. Although we had a good time talking either way, so I guess it was good.
Indeed.
Thanks, Andres, and thank you for listening. If you made it here, wow, I don't know how you did it, but congrats. You get nothing except my acknowledgement right now. So we will be back next month with a new list and some new thoughts. Tune into bignerdgaming.com for continued articles and other good stuff. Follow me on social media, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Thank you.